help me with this question here with Michael, since you've done some research on that. Let me see if I can find him in here. I think I see his number. Let's see if this is him. Is this Mike from around the world?
Yes, it is, Pastor. How are you doing today?
We are doing great. I got Sister Heidi with me.
Hi, Michael.
How you doing, Heidi?
I'm
Good to
very
be on
well.
the show with you all today.
Great to have you here, Mike. Hey, looking forward to seeing you soon. And you've been a busy man because we haven't got to see you a lot. I know you've been busy.
Yeah, my daytime hours have been tied up, and I have been going through a lengthy process. This is about as smooth as sandpaper.
I mean, I don't know exactly what you have to go through. I just know what my son, just simply leaving the U.S. Army as a sergeant, the 90 days of just an absolute process is a good word for it. But and yours is probably more extensive, no doubt. But certainly, you're going to get to the finish line, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I will. And I'm looking forward to Dallas. I really am. And August, by the way.
I know. August, you and I are going to meet. I know. I'm just waiting on the date on that. I'm just waiting on the date and the time and the place. We'll do it. You just let me know, and we'll keep that confidential for sure.
All right.
In Dallas, that's going to be powerful. And we're getting a lot of folks registering. They're coming to the Texas Explosion September 12th. If you haven't registered, you need to do it now. There's only 58 days left. And, of course, Mike will be there. Mike's around the world, and he will be speaking. And it's just going to be a great time. We're going to have a powerful time, Mike.
Yes, we will. I hope I don't break anything if I get too excited speaking. That happens,
That's great. I love it. Join the crowd of that, okay? Mike, there's a couple things that's been happening that we want to get your expert opinion on, and that is over in Rhode Island, at the Salty Brine, the rocks cried out. I mean, there was some type of what they call ground disturbance, but it was an explosion. Threw a woman 5 feet in the air, knocked her unconscious, broke some of her ribs. People witnessed this. They thought for sure it was a bomb. Brought out all the ATF and all the bomb squad. There was no device at all. There was no lava. There was no plumes of smoke, no ash, nothing. But I mean, we're talking it moved huge rocks. I mean, now we've just had a situation also over in the United Kingdom where the same type of thing happened, again, over by the waterfront, but this thing shot snails and water and plant life high into the air, and people witnessed this, and it left a sinkhole there in the UK. So this is a brand new phenomenon that I've never heard of such a thing. It's got people stunned. Mike, what is your take on what's going on with this phenomenon?
Well, I can only give you my opinion. It's been very hot in California for a while, and I do believe this could be connected to exfoliation. That's a geological term when when rocks begin to shed their outer layer due to compression, and heat can actually cause the rock to explode. People have found this out mistakenly by putting rocks on a grill. It's not a very good idea. They will explode. But under pressure, granite has been known to explode, and other types of rocks have also been known to explode. It's not rare. They just don't really report it like that. But if it's from loose rock, there's another phenomenon that has taken place. I remember in, I believe it was 2011, 2012. People were going to California collecting rocks, and they were pretty, and they bought them back home, and they spontaneously blew up in their homes, and a few people were injured because they had burnt in their pockets. Those rocks happen to have phosphorus in them, and so in the absence of heat, that moisture began to settle in the rock, and poof, there it went. So it could be one of those one of those two things. That one of the alarming sides of this is if it happens again, then that just simply means that we've got some massive pressure issues on the coast of California, and this, because of the heat, this could continue without notice, because it happens below the ground, and it'll blow anything up with phenomenal pressure.
Now, Mike, that's the California thing that's been happening, but this was in Rhode Island, okay, right across the waterway from what's called Jerusalem, Rhode Island, on a beach called the Salty Brine. Now, I know it's summertime, so no doubt the heat of the sun and what have you. And it also happened in the United Kingdom along the beach. So are you saying what originally happened already in California, that we're starting to see that happening in other locations, the same phenomenon?
Yeah, that's somewhat of a bad sign. It means that there's a lot of plate movement underneath the ground in the upper layers, which means essentially magma's on the move. That has an effect on the crust. You will have places that will just simply collapse in certain places because of movement. There will be undersea explosions, beach explosions, of course, where the rock is actually coming up to the surface. But if it's happening on the beaches like this, that means the ground is under high pressure, which means at some point the rock underneath North America, the North Atlantic, North Pacific, and South Pacific is going to begin to shift, which could be a cause of this increase in volcanism and earthquakes. If you look at the mean number of the earthquakes and volcanic activity, and that is directly related to what geologists are calling exfoliation events, which are taking place at this time.
Now, and you talk about this exfoliation event. Also, I remember we talked about the Earth imploding, or I should say pulling apart. It's a term you used a few months ago when we've seen all these sinkholes opening up everywhere. It's like the Earth is literally pulling apart. And then we see all these huge sinkholes. And then you're talking about this atmospheric compression that's putting pressure on the Earth, which is also increasing the volcanism and all of the earthquakes, these eruptions of volcanoes. All of this is happening because of. Is it a simultaneous thing? The Earth, it's a birthing pain. I mean, it's definitely the coming of Jesus Christ, and the Earth is falling apart because the waves of energy, as well as what's taking, how that pressure is affecting the tectonic plates. Is that what's creating some of this erosion, exfoliation, you're saying?
In a simple term, yes. The Earth, inside the Earth, seems to be expanding at a good pace. The ionosphere is attracting more and more materials, so it's becoming heavy, which is pushing down upon the Earth. If that heavy material is pushing down upon the Earth, and when you think about it, if a cloud is what, 1 million pounds, a cloud, one of those fluffy clouds, that's 1 million pounds. Just imagine in the ionosphere all the particles becoming condensed in that plasma ring, just attracting more and more material that's being thrust into our solar system. While that's happening, the interior of the Earth is becoming active because there are certainly solar events taking place. Solar activity has increased at a phenomenal rate. It too, the radius of the sun is changing because of the energy, which is affecting all the planets. And this is why I don't like the global warming talk. That's I'll just say that's cheese. That's no good. That's a construct. But our Earth is expanding from the inside out, and we have atmospheric compression events happening, which, by the way, will heat the atmosphere. Under pressure, temperatures go up and up, and that's why we can see in the North Pacific Ocean, we have temperatures in the ocean at 85 degrees. That is and sometimes breaching the 90-degree mark. And that's not good.
No, and isn't that also what's causing that energy then in the Pacific is causing right now 6 tropical storms. One of them we know is a typhoon of category 2 headed towards Fukushima, by the way. But there's 6 tropical storms in the Pacific Ocean. Is that because of the higher temperature creating more energy? And you're saying that energy is being caused by the Earth expanding, and the Earth is expanding because it's under a atmospheric pressure from these waves of energy. Now, we can back all that up with the Bible. Matter of fact, can I read a verse for you? Isaiah 55, verse 4, Oh, my eyesight is getting, I'm going to have to get new glasses. Isaiah chapter 5, Isaiah chapter 5, verse 14. Okay, well, I misread that bad, didn't I? Here's what it says. Verse 13, I will read ahead of it. Therefore my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory, and their multitude, and their pomp, he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. So it sounds as if, because of, again, man's disobedience, the lack of knowledge of the Word of God, very similar to what it says in Hosea when it relates to the man's sin causing all the animal deaths. This is saying because of man's sin, it's causing hell to enlarge itself, or an implosion, or what you call earth expanding going on. Mike, again, the Bible does confirm what we're witnessing.
Yes, it does. And, not to sound alarming, but as the earth continues to expand, Pastor, the heat underneath the ground is going to become phenomenal. All the fresh water will eventually be very difficult to find because the ground is heating up. Now, this causes a moisture issue in the atmosphere. We have another problem, too, with the lightning. In the atmosphere being positively charged and the earth negatively charged, as the atmospheric compression event continues, more molecules will begin to flow through the atmosphere, picking up static electricity, which will discharge without clouds, period. You could have fog and have great amount of discharge, lightning hitting the ground. And so with the expansion underneath the earth, that's causing more of a negative charge, and the charge in the upper atmosphere. We will eventually see large-scale electrical problems and satellite communication problems without the sun. Now, this is also being observed on Mars. The temperature of Mars is going up tremendously. Their winds are picking up, and we're not talking about seasonal activity here. We're talking about the mean, where that would be the midpoint of the highs and the lows, and then the average of that. Everything is increasing. Even on planet Venus, whose temperatures are about 900 degrees, it's now 1,500 degrees. So that their surface temperatures are picking up, and wind speeds of 300 to 400 supersonic wind speeds now are on Venus, and everybody is somewhat alarmed because it's like Earth is being spared, going through a slower process while everything else is messing up, all the planets out there. So it's not global warming. It has nothing to do with humans. But inside the Earth is beginning to expand because the sun's energy is intimately tied to the core of the Earth. And as the sun increases its activity, so will the interior portions of the Earth. And of course, that's through observation. That's why I say that. That's certainly through observation. But we have the Earth is expanding from the inside out, which means magma movement and tectonic shifting of the plates, albeit very slow. It's a lot of energy at play. We're talking just trillions and trillions of tons of pressure, which will cause these spontaneous explosions, starting in remote places, but then ending up underneath the cities. And that's, this will begin to mess with infrastructure. We're looking at events like crops dying because the ground temperature is too high and it won't hold moisture anymore, no matter how much it rains. So that's going to confuse people. They're going to say, well, we're getting rain. Why is the ground not holding the moisture? Well, because the ground temperatures are going to go up extremely, and no crops. The crops can't grow that way. So this is a continuous event, and it's not stopping. And eventually we'll get into a drought season that is just nobody has ever seen before. And again, this is a global event because this is the Earth's core doing this. All the other hogwash about global warming, that's just hogwash because it's happening to all the planets in the solar system.
Okay, so now that leads me to this. If you're saying Mars' temperatures rising, Earth's temperatures rising, all the planets in the solar system temperatures are rising, and we're talking about atmospheric compression, and we're talking about Earth expanding from the compression and the heat affecting the oceans, and that then affects also the heat affecting the ground temperature, which will affect the vegetation, which will affect human life itself as the Earth is in this birthing pains of the coming of Christ. Even Peter said the earth is going to melt with a fervent heat, Heidi. Even the elements thereof will burn up. That's scripture, folks. Peter told you this would happen in the last days. Isaiah told you to be a pole shift in Isaiah 24:1. Isaiah said you would hear the songs in the heavens, the sounds of the apocalypse, and booms and fear coming from the pits or from the earth itself. All of these things are biblically prophesied, are happening. Now, Mike, I got to ask you, the 5 waves of energy, the first wave, what you call a ripple, supposed to impact us sometime around August 17th. Mike, are you seeing, can you tell me, is the waves of energy what's causing all these planets to be heating up as well as the Earth? Is it the waves of energy creating the volcanism? Is it the waves of energy creating this atmospheric compression? What is the waves of energy? Is this first ripple, is it stronger than you think it was going to be? Where are we with it?
I'll tell you, in this mode, I'm observing this is a tiny, let's just say a tiny band of energy coming in. Let's say it's in comparison. Let's say this first one is let's relate that to 5 inches, right? The one behind it would be about 500 feet. So this first one, and we have probes on the near Pluto that will be measuring that energy. Of course, they're probably, gloating about it. We have a device out there near Pluto, but when it comes in, they'll be able to measure certain things of the energy before it comes into the inner solar system where Earth is, and it's moving pretty quick. So, everybody's still in observation mode. I do know this, that the solar radiation has steadily been increasing with the sun for years now, and it's on this steady course. Now you have to remember the solar radiation the sun puts out and the energy of the sun has nothing. We're not talking about CMEs, right? We're not talking about coronal mass ejections. We're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about the external activity on the sun, but we're speaking of the sun's radiation output itself has increased, right? So it can be very quiet. The sun can be very quiet, yet still put out the radiation.
That's what I'm going to know. Why do we hear? We know CME's mass ejections comes from these solar flares, but and NASA tells us that when it does that, it does release more ultraviolet rays and more, pressure, if you will, waves of. But you're saying the sun can be quiet, but the UV rays are increasing. Is it from this wave of energy in the? Because Jesus said that the heavens will be shaken, and these waves of energy have got to be disturbing space. Am I right?
Yeah, something is, I can't really say that this energy is, I had stated what to watch for. This is what, we're watching increased volcanic activity, more energy in the earth. And now we're seeing a little more output of solar radiation in the sun than usual, and it's affecting all the planets. What dominates the seasons on Earth, right? Being the angle of its spin and the axis and orbital plane and so on and so forth. But the sun's position, our axis, our position, dominates those seasons. The seasons will begin to change as the sun's energy also begins to change, right? And it will affect, now, if the sun can affect Earth this way, what would something of greater magnitude do to the sun, to our sun? So something else is affecting our sun, which in turn is affecting the planets.
Okay, and that's what causing what Jesus said would be the heavens would be shaken. I want to welcome everybody that's here today. Got a great crowd of folks, 721 of you that are in the Paul Begley Prophecy chat room, 75 of you in the other Paul Begley Prophecy chat room, 725 of you at New Live Stream, and a great crowd over at Blog Talk Radio. 163 are on cell phones, and I don't know how many of you are listening on CoT and all over the place, but I want to welcome all of you. Mike, here's what Jesus said in a prophecy in Luke 21, verse 25. He says, there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them, seas and the waves roaring. He specifically brings this up as if whatever is this distress upon the earth, whatever these signs are in the sun, the moon, and stars, it's also going to affect the oceans, Heidi, the seas and the waves roaring. Well, we know if the earth is heating up, look at all these tropical storms. You said there's 6 of them right now in the South Pacific. Mike says because the Pacific Ocean is quite a bit warmer than it usually is, creates energy. Then look at verse 26. Men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. I wonder how many NASA scientists have died, or how many those that are in the know have literally died over the knowledge they know about what's coming upon the earth, because Jesus says it's coming. Something's coming. Men are going to die. Their hearts are going to fail them for fear, for looking after those things that are coming upon the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And powers of heaven shall be shaken. That means there's waves of energy. So, and you know what the next verse is? And then shall they see the sign. Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up, lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. So the sea, the waves roaring, and the heavens are shaken. So, Mike, is this waves of energy, whatever it is? Now, we got Gil Brazard out there. He'll tell us that it's, of course, planet 7X could be what's causing these things to happen. So, as the seas are roaring, the waves are roaring, the heavens are being shaken, and I just heard that you just said Mars' temperature is rising. What's going on? Mike, I got another verse I'm going to give you in just a moment, but how can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, it's, it is what it is, and whatever it is, whatever's causing this, and of course, I'm going to be calling back in on the show August 17th. I'll be able to say a little more. Hopefully, when they observe this first band that comes in, I'm just, I'm kind of hoping we don't see effects like the potentials of effects, because there's always a plan for the worst case scenario, and normally a worst case scenario never happens, but no one's sure this time what could happen.
Okay.
Let me
say this. I know you have to be careful what you say under the confidentiality you're under. We're just going to schedule you now for August 17th to be our guest. And let's hope there's not a disruption in the internet and anything else that may cause us not to even be on the air. One question I have for you is that, as when you say they're planning for the worst, I sometimes wonder, I'm not going to ask you this because you're in the military, but Jade Helm, which military has admitted is an actual covert, it's supposed to be a secret covert operation as far as how to control mass hysteria in an apocalyptic situation. But is Jade Helm practicing for what might get in position, practicing for what could happen on August 17th, or the days leading up to it, or even the days following it?
Well, Pastor, let me give you, I have an opinion on a few things. Okay. I have an opinion. Now, when SOCOM or Special Operations Command does interact with the Spec Op forces and they do training like this normally happens once a year, sometimes twice a year, and nobody ever knows about it. But the difference this time is that there's a positioning element that's not been there before. It's pushing out a bit further in their training. I do certainly believe this, that the Jade Helm was actually presented in a way so that people could pick it up and begin to look at it. Here's my opinion. You have to look at the timing of Jade Helm. You have to look at the timing of this proposed deal with Iran. You have to look at the timing of the financial system. And if anybody in the government knew for a fact that things in the Middle East were falling apart for real, and they kept the entire populace calm and deluded them in, whatever dramatic stories they could give, you would have an obligation to send your troops out and position them in the country to mass those troops in strategic places for defense of this land, for defense of America. And when you're in a wartime situation, you have to actually begin to guide civilians to other places. Now, we have another problem. We have people in America who are, in fact, loyalists to the ISIS movement. Now, how do you find these people and you're positioning for war, but the enemy is behind your lines? How do you do this? Well, then you have other teams that come into play, like the United Nations and other forces. And then they begin to filter and mingle with the public for about a year prior so they can know the public. And then from section to section, they begin to convert neighborhoods. They begin to convert cities and towns. They begin to convert them because they need to know if they're going to be loyal to America at the time that a war begins, right? So they're going to have to filter through everybody to see who they are. This is one of the purposes of what we see now, because you don't know if a person is an ISIS loyalist or not. And so there's going to be containment of civilians in certain places, but they're going to do it town to town, city to city. And they're going to have one city become spies for another. They're going to have one neighbor become a spy for another. The children will report to their teachers any strange activity they see their parents doing.
And when you say
that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, but you're talking about ISIS is the ones that's these sleeper cells that are already behind it, already in our camp, already in America, through this illegal immigration that's been flooding into this country through the doors of Mexico. I'm not talking about Mexican people. I'm talking about just everybody from all over the world, the bad guys from everywhere. I mean, in some ways, I know people get upset. Donald Trump, he comes off a little strong, and I see that a new CNN poll just came out. Trump is now in first place at 17%. Bush is at 14%. Scott Walker's at 8%. Ted Cruz at 6%. Rubio's at 5%. Rand Paul, Dr. Carlson, Huckabee all at 4%. Chris Christie at 3%. So all of a sudden, within a month, Trump goes from announcing he's running to the lead, and he's getting negative press every direction. I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm just saying, why is Trump rising so quickly? It's because his message is the people don't trust the media, and people don't trust the government. The people flat don't believe the media, and they don't believe the government. So when you say, and part of the reason they don't is because sleeper cells are everywhere. We're being told we can't be Christians no more. We're losing our freedom of speech. And your point is here, there's a lot going on. Jade Helm, covert operations of strategic nature is not just because they just want to get in position and train for certain civilian containments. There's a lot of reasons I'm hearing you say could bring about the need for it. The Iranian nuke deal, the Greece banking or financial situations, the waves of energy and the volcanic activity we're seeing, ISIS sleeper cells. So you're saying we have to get in position to prepare for any of these things or all of these things at once. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And one of the most high priority issues here is that they're using people to tell on other people. I'm going to give you an example of how sneaky things go. People are already doing this. They've been engaged in telling on people for a long time, right? Here's how it works. When a person interacts with social media or something doesn't go right in their day, naturally, they have a habit of going to social media to talk about somebody else. They're sending text messages to somebody else. They're doing something. They're telling on everybody. And what they're doing is they're actually profiling an individual through social media without being aware of it. To them, it's just standard speech, right? But to those who collect the information, it's wonderful intelligence. And then you begin to narrow down who is who because the civilians are doing all the work. Profiling everybody else, everybody they're upset with, they do profile, and they're going through everybody's Facebook and the information a person sends or chats on Facebook. It does not belong to them. Any information you send on your text phone, it does not belong to you. You're licensed to use the phone, but you can never own the information. And so they're using this information as a filter first and foremost, and then they will have you. You can almost. I would almost say, mark my words, but there's going to come a time pretty quick when house will be against house. Yeah. When one house, they'll come in and talk to the house and they'll say, listen, we need to do this for the country. Are you with us? And then the person says yes. And they said, okay, I need you to go and find out who is who in your neighborhood. And this is going to take place. And they will pay these people to do this. And then it will narrow down to, that's when you're looking at civilian containment. And the questionable people, if they don't know if they're friend or foe to America, which is the government, not the America we knew, the government, they're going to have to be taken somewhere else to be filtered out to see who is who. And we're going to see some type of Islamic power step foot in portions of America, not the whole thing. Yeah. And it's just not going to look good. Trump is getting so much activity, and he's actually drawing people out who do not like the way the government is running. And people are actually getting upset at him. But I'm saying don't get upset at Donald Trump because he's not lying to everybody. He's worried about the bottom line of America. And the rest are worried about how they can look good on television and numbers. But it's causing more dissension, more division, and but the lines are becoming clear, very clear. Just like in the end, the lines will be very clear between those who take the mark and those who don't.
Donald Trump what he's doing is literally speaking what millions of Americans are thinking, and that is he's saying, look, you can't trust the government no more, and you can't trust. You can't trust the media. Let's just call it the way it is. And that's frustrating the media. That's frustrating the United States government. It's frustrating the other candidates that are trying to run for president, both Democrat and Republican, because many of these folks, I'm not going to say everybody running is involved in the Illuminati. No, I know a lot of them aren't, but many of them are. And this one world government, new world order incorporation of Sharia law, even with Islam, is all part of building this globalization, this Luciferian global elitist mentality. Trump is coming at it from a total different direction. He's coming at it basically from just the purity of the people, saying, we don't like it, we don't want this. I think he puts himself in a dangerous situation, actually personally, for assassination, because the more he exposes what the people all are sensing and feeling and pretty well know. And I think also Christians are going to become identified and isolated because we're starting to stand up. If the more you stand up and the more we focus, the more we say, no, we're not, this is the great divide. This is the great divide that's coming, that's actually in the process. And you talk about the mark of the beast, you talk about civilian containment. That's what the mark of the beast will bring. The mark of the beast will bring civilian containment. Just the process of getting close to the mark of the beast will already start this great divide, this great separation, this profiling. And while that's happening, the earth's falling apart. Let me read 2 verses Heidi got for me. I quoted it out of 2 Peter, but let's read it. Here's what it says, 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 10 and 11. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all manner of holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. That sounds like there's a day coming when the entire universe will be on fire, because God's going to create a new heaven and new earth anyway. So there's a cleansing going to happen. Mike, is this what possible? I mean, I'm going to ask you this question. Is it, in your opinion, could it be that what we're sensing and feeling is actually 2 Peter chapter 2 approaching? It might be 50 years from now, it might be 5 years from now, but is this what we're feeling everywhere?
I think it is, Pastor, and I don't. When it comes to timing, I can sense it's very close, and I mean extremely close. There will be events. I mean, there's a war in the Middle East that's just about to happen. First of all, Donald Trump speaking like this, speaking into people's lives, is going to do exactly what you just said. It's going to cause people to stand up. They're going to be empowered. But because he's in danger, that means the people who stand up for him are going to be identified as being just like him, which means eventually, somehow, they're going to be enemies of the state if something goes wrong. This Iranian deal is a total facade. It's just an absolute farce. And because to do that, to give Iran these things back and to extend them time, that effectively cuts off Israel from ever having a right to attack. They can't attack Iran when Iran has a deal with America, right, and other countries.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Israel cannot preempt, go in and do a preemptive strike on Iran when 6 superpowers have just locked arms with Iran. They just can't do it. They'll insult the whole world. They'll get blamed for causing trouble to the whole world. I mean, this deal has put Israel in a little corner by itself. But Netanyahu might do it anyway, but if he does it, it'll turn the whole world against him. So Donald Trump is speaking things. You've got the New World Order working as hard as it can to get in position, using every leverage possible. And you have this Iranian deal, which the President of the United States is speaking as of right now. He is speaking, and he's going to be up there for an hour. It's a press conference. So he's going to literally talk for an hour defending this Iranian nuke deal. And we know it's indefensible. It's an indefensible. It's a rotten deal. We didn't even get anybody out of prison. We didn't get nothing. Iran got everything. Here's something, Mike, that I've always said when you know a deal's bad. when a deal is good, all the big top politicians, the president, everybody wants to be in the signing pictures. But when it's a bad deal, none of it. There's not one world leader that's showing up to sign this deal. It's all the surrogates. And the only person that's celebrating is Hassan Rouhani, and he's a national hero. He's literally, they're worshiping him for what he's pulled off for Iran. You know right then, it's a bad deal.
Yeah, it really is. And I just hope that within that 60 days, I have my own feelings, but to let there's one individual that makes this a super bad deal, and it's an Iranian general. And to unfreeze this guy's assets, it would be a huge mistake.
Wait a minute. Huge mistake. Whoa. He's an Iranian general? Is he do you have a name? Is he over the
Qasem Soleimani. He's an Iranian general. Yeah.
Soleimani.
He too will. This guy is a mastermind behind quite a few things. And when we lost a lot of men because of him. A lot of the terrorism that you see, he was behind. He funded many things, but he's absolutely 100% dangerous. If this guy, if his sanctions are released and his assets restored, he will certainly within months attempt to do something to Israel. Even though they're in Iraq, right? You have Iranian forces in Iraq. Why are they sending so many to Iraq? You know, there's more than 40,000 Iranian soldiers now in that area. And it's because they have a heavy water plant there, right? There are other things in that area, but we just handed that to Iran. We're handing, in this conflict with ISIS, we're handing it to Iran, and we don't have good intelligence that indicates if ISIS is actually working with Iran. They did an op like this in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, where they actually funded two opposing teams, but they were talking together, killing each other at the same time, so that the international community could never realize what they were working with. They were working together, but killing each other at the same time. And so this general set this up, and he executed this thing without, no one had knowledge of this. And so they can't release this guy's assets. That's it. What's that doing in the deal? That shouldn't be in the deal at all.
No,
that shouldn't be in the deal.
Soleimani. Is that his name? Hassan?
Yeah, I believe his last name is Soleimani. That's his last name.
Spell that again. Let's get this name right. Soleimani.
His first name, let's see, Qasem is Qasem. That's his first name.
Oh. Qasem Soleimani. Well, before we come talk about General Soleimani, we'll be right back. Mike, can you stay with us a minute? I'll put you on the mute. Folks, we'll take a 3-minute break. We'll be right back for hour number 3. The coming apocalypse. Heidi will have some information for us to ask Mike also. We'll be right back in 3 minutes.
You're listening to a live broadcast from the Council of Time and the Ring of Fire Ministries. We wish to thank you for choosing us to be a part of your day.
We're online 24/7. 24/7. In the mix. In the mix.
And his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flames. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Welcome to the coming apocalypse, an analysis of today's headlines and how Bible prophecy is unfolding before your very eyes. Please welcome now your host, an anointed preacher, radio talk show host, prophetic teacher who travels globally and has a genuine love for people. Your pastor and mine. Please welcome Pastor Paul Begley. Salvation Station. Salvation Station. Salvation Station.
Coming to Jesus Christ. Salvation. Born again in the power of Jesus Christ. Welcome to hour number 3. This is the coming apocalypse. I'm Pastor Paul Begley. Got my wife Heidi with me today. Heidi, great to have you here helping me out today.
Good to be here.
Amen.
Can't wait to see my grandbaby.
We're getting ready to leave right after the broadcast here. We're going to go see our granddaughter, little Carson Begley. It's our 6th grandchild and our 5th granddaughter. So, got a handful now. I'm serious. Let me see. We got one grandson, and he must feel all alone. And when you say it, we're also got with us right now, Mike Around the World, and we're talking about some powerful stuff. Jade Helm, Iranian nuke deal, Greece, a little bit about Greece, but what the waves of energy, and how is this affecting the earth with the implosion and the eruptions and the volcanic eruptions and all the earthquakes, everything's happening. And also now this general, Qasem Soleimani, and I mean, I've said his name about 8 different ways. Salami, it's real close to Salami. Soleimani. Close. Anyway, he's not a good, I want to ask Mike something right now because he brings this guy's name up. And he also, when you think about him, and the danger he could bring to the world because of, I remember, Mike, you said about 9 months ago, you said, when ash is confirmed, then there will be war. And of course, I didn't understand what in the world, what does he mean by ash? And then the new Secretary of Defense, of course, now is a man named, it just so happened to be his name is Ash Carter. I don't know if there's any connection there, but Ash Carter doesn't play a game. So, I mean, I could tell he will go to war, and so will this Iranian general. So now what's going on?
I think that's if they release this, if they release the assets in this guy and begin to unfreeze the money he has, and he will go right back to work. He will accomplish in doing what he does best, and that's leading special Iranian forces against Americans and those who like the Western influence. This guy's vicious and determined, and he's very wise in how he operates. So he's in fact a rival. No one should underestimate Iran, and that's going to be that's a problem. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, they think Iran is some backwaters nation that has no real technology. That's not the truth. They've been dealing with Russia for a very long time now. And Russia is backing them. It's astounding. So then you have this general that comes out who has special ties with Putin, And so now we're looking at two forces being involved. And by the way, militarily, you'll see an alliance, a greater alliance of Russia and Iran. You'll see a greater alliance of that.
Wow.
And
you've already had look, the nuclear facilities that have been built in Iran, one of them, Bushehr, was completely built by the Russians. They spent $1 billion on it. And now there's Fordow, and then there's the big water treatment, the water plant, to help cool these things. You got all these different facilities. And there's no question that now this relationship between Russia and Iran will flourish. And I think China will even get involved to some degree. So this general, Soleimani, when you think of General Soleimani, you say when his assets are freed up, that meaning the sanctions are lifted and he gets access to more cash and less interference, and gives him a free ride to do the things he wants to do, and gives him the money to buy the equipment and technology. My concern is, Mike, Stephen DeNoon said that it was quite, rumor was everywhere that Iran already had 3 nuclear missiles or nuclear warheads that could be put on missiles. And the president of the United States said yesterday they have enough enriched uranium to make 10 more. I mean, why would he come out and just say that? Right on the, oh yeah, by the way, they got enough enriched, they can make 10 more. Now, don't you think that they'll be able to buy the capability to make this thing happen? It's going to be a lot quicker than 10 years.
Yeah, it's not going to be long. And Ben DeNoon is right. Everybody forgets the 1980s concerning Iran. And Russia already had nuclear weapons at that time. And during the Cold War, for safe storage, they had a type of agreement with Russia. And some of those missiles that were in the USSR, that were in Russia, went to Iran for safekeeping. And basically, if Russia has a nuclear weapon, you can bet your bottom dollar they have some in Iran. Iran is not going to release the location because if they do, the facility will be unlocked and the satellites will be able to detect a radioactive signature. So they don't want that. I also believe that they have launch capability, but what they don't have are certain air defense systems. They have a lot of missiles to shoot out. But what good is it to fire a missile, a ICBM, if you don't have a missile defense strategy? Now, if you notice, you're going to see deals. You have to see deals with Russia concerning missile-to-missile interception type devices. So just like our Patriot missile systems and Hawk batteries and so forth and so on, that can actually hit a missile flying in the air, they have to have them too. And that's why we shipped our missile defense systems to allied nations in the Middle East, because we already know the potential of what's going to happen. Missiles are going to fly. What type are going to fly, nobody knows. But the tensions are extremely hostile in the Middle East concerning these different factions. And now that the alliances are starting, that you can't put a timetable on what Iran will do, because Russia has already made a deal to put missile defense systems in place in Iran. They have radar coverage. They have ICBM detection and launch detection systems, Russia does, that covers the entire borders of Iranian interest. Iran, parts of India, they can cover everything. They put those in 2013 or 14, I believe. And so now they have an early warning system. Now they have to put in the missile defense systems. Right? You put the early warning system in first for ICBM detection and smaller projectiles and aircraft and so forth and so on. And then you place the missile defense systems in Iran after you have the early warning systems. Once they get that in place, they can launch anything and they don't have to worry about aerial attacks. Because if you can stop aerial attacks, well, then you only have to worry about ground forces. And they have a lot of soldiers. Now, if the U.S. were to ever be involved against Iran, Russia has an interest in Iran. So if we come against Iran, guess who we're fighting? Russia. And Russia will quickly reply, gaining strength with the Iranians. And I just can see this happening with them coming into Israel. because all have agreed that Israel, having the greatest Western influence in the Middle East, shouldn't be there.
Yes.
They shouldn't be there. That's what they think.
Iranian ideology, Iranian eschatology is that Israel doesn't exist, never should be there. They don't even call them Israel. They call them the Zionist regime, and it is part of their eschatology to annihilate Israel, to get rid of them, to clear that off, because for their 12th Imam, the Iranians' 12th Imam, the Mahdi, the Muslim Messiah, for him to come back, they have to be. They actually feel they need to be in charge of Jerusalem. I mean, the Persians believe Jerusalem should be captured by them. Now, at the same time, the Ottoman Empire thinks the same way. That's what Turkey thinks. They believe they're supposed to be the one. Then you got ISIS running around saying they're the caliphate, and that they're, this is the Muslim caliphate, and they're killing Christians, and they'll kill Jews, they'll kill anybody they see that gets in their way. They're kind of the henchmen. And you've brought up another scenario. A lot of people think that Iran is willing to fight ISIS, but really it's they might play the cake, they might make it look like they are, but in reality, Iran would love to just use ISIS as their henchmen to kind of do their dirty work as they prepare to take this entire Middle East. That is what they want to do to help create the Levant, and at the same time, they want a global world that includes Islam as the leader of the whole world. I mean, this is a global plan, but at first, it's a regional plan, and Jerusalem, Israel, and the Bible says that Russia. When you look at the Battle of Gog and Magog, if you go to Ezekiel 38, Mike, it talks about Magog, it talks about Russia and Turkey and Persia, which is Iran, all of them involved in trying to defeat Israel, coming down from the north strategically. They could come right down from Iran and Syria right through the Golan Heights, very easy. If they put up their defense mechanisms to protect Iran from a preemptive strike by Israel, I would think, Mike, we're going to see some assassinations being carried out in Iran by Mossad, by the Mossad of Israel. I think they're going to start assassinating nuclear scientists and trying to disrupt Iran's nuclear capabilities. Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, you'll probably see quite a few things like that. And I'll bring out one more point, too. In order for the biblical battle plans to take place, if it were to take place right now, most of the armed services would not agree to go against Israel being an ally, right?
Amen.
So
Amen.
what has to happen prior to that, though? In order for Persia to have its forces allied with Turkey, which is happening right now, by the way, and Russia to go into Jerusalem, what has to happen? I'll tell you what has to happen. The United States has to be occupied. There's only one military who's capable of having the U.S. occupied so that we cannot instantly deploy over there and help them, because the people here in America would cry out, hey, you need to help them.
Right.
But we won't be able to do that because we're going to be tangled into something else. Russia is the only power. Russia, parts of North Korea. North Korea is reserved. North Korea is specifically reserved to work with certain parts of Asia to go against us in coordination with Russia. And Russian technology is all over the world, just like our technology is all over the world. Russia has also placed its technology all over the world. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see Russia begin to position themselves to withstand any deployment from the U.S. So you're going to have naval activity in the waters then. Lots of naval activity in the waters.
And Mike, it's going to be more than just Russia's Navy in the waters and America's Navy in the water, but it's got to be the Chinese as well. I mean, the Chinese have the ability to do some serious, keep America contained, if you will, from being able to really jump in and make too big of a move as far as protecting Israel or trying to help protect Israel. the people will stand up for Israel. The leadership, some of our leadership, I should say, in our nation right now, has obviously turned its back on Israel and has betrayed Israel. Wow, you're right, though. The majority of the United States military, the majority of the generals that are in position with the intellectual property of how to launch protection or launch attacks or defend this nation are with Israel and would not stand for it. But, wow, things are changing quickly, though. I mean, the ground is shifting under everybody's feet.
Yeah, they really are. Oh, and Europe would have to go at the same time we do.
Well, right. The entire Western world. I mean, the West would have